Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rich Martini. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. I want to start off this episode by reporting something extremely positive for once. I know I tend to complain about everything and anything, but hey, not this time, or at least not yet. Maybe like a little bit later in this episode. This is something that I didn't know I would be able to say because things were very much on the brink this year. Guys, the sun is back. Well, it may be back for just 2 days, and by the time you're hearing this, there might not even be a trace of it left, but it is still worth praising, even if it means jinxing it. I know you're probably extremely tired at this point of my everyday rants, and I get it, trust me. But this ordinary thing, which I used to take so much for granted, turned out to be so quintessential to my well being. I know that it's probably extremely stupid that I keep on having these weather rants every single time the seasons change. I always sound like I'm making just small talk, but in a country that is so notorious for its bad weather, the rare chances of you seeing some light are so worth mentioning and so worth enjoying that I just cannot skip over them as if they're nothing. And if you have experienced this, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you would know how non-minuscule this minuscule thing actually is. Because if you grow up in a country with nice climate, you take it for granted until the day it's taken away from you. And I'm not only referring to climate change taking it away from you, although, you know what, maybe I am. But my point is, guys, I fear that seasonal depression might be on its way out. And now it's time to battle only the regular one. And the regular depression, I can, for whatever reason, cope with much more. I mean, like, I don't want to say easily because there are still hardships, but like this one I am used to. And I just really hope that now, with seasonal depression backing its backs and hopefully leaving, I hope I don't lose my sparkle. The sparkle in question being me complaining about every single thing. But my seasonal depression was so extremely terrible this year. And I know I tend to downplay it a lot and joke about it a lot because humor has always been my coping mechanism. In my deepest, darkest episodes of life, I survived because they made me funnier. I remember this one time I went through this extremely rough patch in my mental health, which obviously affected my physical well-being as well. But I could sense myself becoming funnier by the minute. So a win is a win. And if you don't think I'm funny, maybe I'm just not your cup of tea then. And one thing though is my humor is very self-deprecating and it is super dark, but I'm trying to keep it in because not everyone understands it. And like there's nothing worse than saying, oh, I want to off myself as a joke, and then people actually becoming concerned about you. Where was that concern when I was actually considering it? Also, the more I have come to love myself, the less good I feel speaking bad about myself, which was at the core of my humor. So again, humor is shifting. I just need to find the right crowd which will appreciate and contribute rather than lecture and stress. I love nothing more than bonding with someone over humor. When we go into like gory details, that is my favorite, but in a world of cancel culture, you have to cherry pick who you show your humor to. And I remember when I was little, I even bought my dad a massive brick book with just dark humor jokes. Like, also, joke books should not be issued, but okay, I was a child, I'm forgiven for purchasing this, but come on. Also, the town I come from is known as the capital of humor and satire. And anyways, I wanted to talk about seasonal depression ending. So yes, I recognize how mundane and trivial this all may sound, but the weather legitimately does affect me. And I didn't realize how much it would affect me before I had to deal with such weather, both here and in the UK. Although I have to say, and I know this is like maybe a hot take, but I feel like the weather, or at least the weather I experienced in the UK, was much better than the weather I am experiencing and have experienced over the past 4 years in the Netherlands, because the Netherlands has those strong winds, which the UK kind of doesn't. But like the thing is, I legitimately chose the two countries that are known for shit weather conditions. And again, I very much recognize that it sounds so stupid, and if you've never had to experience it, you're probably thinking that I'm blowing things out of proportion, which is also what I used to think about seasonal depression before I grasped the fact that I myself am also experiencing it. And it's just funny how in life we can sometimes only perceive things once we experience them personally. And when I was a child, I used to be like, oh no, winter is my favorite season. And don't get me wrong, I love winter. It is so stunning. It's so uncomfortable though. And like I'm referring to like proper winter with lots and lots of snow. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Uncomfortable as hell. Inconvenient as hell. And I used to say this, and then like again, I grew up and actually perceived the spring/summer superiority. And something shifted on the 1st of March, and I have just felt so much more uplifted. Like, do you also have this thing where you're in the middle of winter and degrees are negative, like negative double digits? You're freezing and you're like, I cannot perceive how I've ever worn just a t-shirt and shorts outside. Like, that is ridiculous. That is outrageous. That is unimaginable. And when it is summer, like it's peak, like 45 degrees in August in Bulgaria type of summer, and you're sweating simply because you're breathing, and you're like, I cannot imagine ever wearing a coat and a hat. That is so ridiculous. Why would I do that? But yes, we don't necessarily comprehend how deeply the seasons can affect us because, well, in the culture I grew up with, it wasn't necessarily a topic of discussion. I mean, like Eastern Europe, like come on, Eastern Europe, early 2000s, you think anyone cared about mental health? No. I don't think people actually believed that mental health existed up until like 1 or 2 years ago. And this is so sad to say, but like we, like the culture and the mentality there is very, very different. And there are so many people who are still in denial of people's delicate, I don't want to say delicacy because it's not delicacy, the state of being delicate. So we humans, we may go and think, oh, I am the scariest animal on the planet. I am top of the food chain. We are intellectuals. We are advanced, blah, 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 blah. But we're such fragile beings in every single aspect. And it is so ironic and hilarious how our ego lets us think that we're so much more than simply mortal mammals. We are animals. And this ego oftentimes prevents us from remembering how breakable we actually are. And I grew up in a different climate with 4 clearly set defined seasons. Well, now global warming is ruining the seasons in Bulgaria as well. There is no denying it. Like, we unfortunately, like any other country, are not spared. But it's just that I grew up in a country where even when it's cold, even when it's snowing, there is still light and sun during the day. And I know with the sun being out, I've noticed, and by the way, it's only been out for like 2 days literally, and both days I have had to work until late in the evening. So it's not like I have had the chance to enjoy it, which is another thing. First of all, your first sign from the universe that things are improving, that things will be better and that there is hope is when you finish your shift and it's not pitch black outside. These are the first glimpses of hope that are telling you we're going to make it. Just hold on a few more weeks. And then there's this thing like when you have been longing for nice weather for months on end, of course, the first days that are pleasant and enjoyable, you can't even enjoy because you're scheduled to work or you need to prepare for exams or you need to go to class. Like, legitimately, this week when I am working, like, as I am on the clock, it is supposed to be 17 degrees. And then on my one day off, it is going to barely reach 6. And at this point, it is personal. It is personal. It is like, I don't know what the weather has against me. Like, I know, like, I should talk the Netherlands a lot. And, like, sure, sometimes deserve, sometimes not so much. But, like, are we, like, V for Vendetta? Like, come on. But, anyways, my point is, guys, we are going to make it. I promise you, we are going to make it. Just hold on, just a few more weeks, like a few more weeks, and you will start seeing that it is light past 6:30, and you will be so full of joy and so full of life. Uh, I hope so, at least. And with just the sun being out for literally less than a week, again, just 48 hours. I mean, not constantly, but well, you know what I mean. I have noticed that my mood change significantly. And also there's so many flowers out and about throughout the city, which means that the city is very pretty. And now I don't hate my life in the Netherlands as much. There is something I need to give props for when it comes to the Netherlands. It is so pretty during spring. Like, spring is the prettiest season here. And like, if you've ever wanted to visit the Netherlands, I highly recommend late March, April, and maybe all the way up until mid-May. It is so stunning, so colorful, warm, but not annoyingly warm. Like, you can still wear a sweater and be nice and not sweat your ass off, but you're not freezing your ass off. Like, your ass is in a perfect weather condition, unless it's raining. Then your ass will be drenched. How many times did I say ass? Well, I would say I would get demonetized, but I'm not getting any money. So yeah, it is very beautiful. And you can sense that something has been uplifted because people are genuinely beginning to enjoy life again. Because up until that point, we were hostages to our homes because of the bad weather. And it is so crazy that such a simple thing as having sunlight is making me enjoy life more, making me want to be more productive, motivating me more. So I like since those 2 days ago, I legit have like without my alarm even waking up early in the morning and I have felt rested because now again I don't wake up and it's dark outside. Now I wake up and it's light and I feel like this is when I'm supposed to wake up because if it is dark outside, it is an indication that I need to be asleep. And my biological clock no longer has to work against time and weather conditions. And this is yet another testament that when I graduate, I need to pack my bags. Like the second I snatch that diploma, I am packing my suitcase, which those pigeons that I've been telling you about, which they are back, they fully ruined my suitcase. It is covered in their feces. And like no matter how many times I clean it, no matter what I do to kick out those pigeons, they're back and they're back. And I don't know what to do because now my balcony is fully unusable. And I'm like, girl, get out. So once I graduate, I am packing my bags and going somewhere with constant sunshine and mountains because I grew up in the mountains. I grew up in the bottom of a mountain. So mountains are so important to me. Again, I know it sounds so extremely trivial, but like if you go to a country with a landscape and climate opposite to the one that you grew up in and the one that your body and mentality are accustomed to, it will inevitably be a big shock. It is one of the biggest cultural shocks, if it's considered a cultural shock. I'm not too sure. It's a shock that people just tend to underestimate. That when people talk about moving abroad, they talk about all like the positives, but hardly ever is proper attention paid to climate and just like the landscape, because like those things, societally speaking, they're not considered as like pivotal key moments in your moving abroad experience, when they so very much are. And I know there's a lot of downplaying happening when it comes to those two aspects of the place you live in, and like they should not be the main focus, but they totally should be. Like maybe not the main, but like top three at least. um so yes. And I know you may be now saying, oh, but economics 101, supply and demand, if you have constant summer, you're never going to crave it, you're going to get tired of it. Okay, um let's try. I literally today asked my colleague who he lives in South, well, he is from South Africa. Currently he lives in the Netherlands, obviously. Um and he was like, yeah, we don't have seasons. Like even when it's cold, it's not cold. Like even during winter, it's not cold. It's still sunny and pleasant outside. And I was like, do you ever get tired of constant sun and just like constant warmth? And he's like, no, what? So yeah, give me a year of pleasant weather and constant sunshine. I may still be sad at the end of that year. I may still be struggling, but I will not be externally motivated to want to end things. And I may miss the snow. I love snow. There's no denying it, but I highly doubt that I will miss wanting to off myself because of bad weather. Guys, if I haven't made it explicitly clear, seasonal depression was terrible this year. I didn't socialize at all. I hung out with someone like once a month, if, and it was just uni work, uni work, uni work, work, uni work, uni work, uni work. And I would leave the house during dark. I would spend the whole day on campus or at work, and it got dark at 4, which is like a late getting dark moment during the winter here, which meant that there were weeks in which I did not see the sunlight at all. And maybe I should start taking vitamin D during those periods. Or maybe I should switch countries. I have no plans about my future. And today, my sister talked to me and was like, "Oh, what are you planning on doing? Like, what after you graduate? Like, are you moving back?" I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But this year I isolated myself so terribly, and now I'm just opening up myself to the world again. And maybe I'm just one of those animals who do the winter sleep thing, and now I'm just ready to restart my journey on planet Earth. And I've been exercising more. I've been exercising with motivation. I've been exercising with desire. I've been exercising not for the sake of exercising, but I've been exercising because this is something genuinely that brings me joy. Now I've gone running, but we all know that this one is not going to stick around. Like, but hey, I did it. I eat better. I eat because like in moments of like seasonal depression, I just like don't eat throughout the entire day, and then I just binge at 2 a.m., which is not healthy. Don't do that. Like, do as I say, not as I do, unless I say something stupid, which is almost all of the time. So don't listen to me, guys. Anything you may apply to your life after hearing it from me is your own responsibility, and I refuse to be held accountable for the things I say or do. And I think that's just beautiful. Anyway, so now I eat better. I walk everywhere with so much joy and pleasantness. This week I've walked like crazy amount. Like don't even get me started. Like on average this week I've done like 25k steps a day. My calves are begging me to stop, but I won't stop because it's enjoyable and now it's pretty and I need to enjoy this because it is so unstable. It is more unstable than me. Maybe I am the stencil they used when they developed like the climate zones. I just now, when the sun is out and the weather is better, I want to dress better. I have cuter outfits that are not going to be ruined by a massive puffy jacket that I'm scared to put in the back of my closet because I'm scared that I will jinx everything and the weather will go to hell. And I remember that last year in June and July, I still had my winter jacket on, which is just ridiculous. So if I'm having just a week of this peace, let me enjoy it. And if I'm back on my bullshit next week, complaining about stuff and hating life here, don't mind me. Mind your own business because the sun is a catalyst, but it's not a determinant. And I know that maybe you're now thinking, you cannot blame everything on the sun. Yes, I can. Like, who's going to stop me? Like, literally, who is going to stop me? It is not criminal. I don't think it's in the Constitution. It may be delusional. It may be out of touch. But, like, who's going to stop me? But enough about this. I feel like I've been rambling around. Well, yeah, it's full on like 20 minutes talking about the weather. Man, do you think those few months I spent in the UK affected me somewhat? Yes, they did. So I wanted to share something else with you. I want to tell you about this book that I'm reading. I am extremely ashamed to admit that I hadn't read any books this year up until this point. And parts of this I am blaming on the fact that I am predominantly reading academic literature because I need to prepare for my classes. But like, I don't know what it is with me, but like when I read academic literature, I don't perceive it as reading as in like reading books. It's different and it doesn't count for me. But yeah, another part of me, like, why? Just simply why? Why aren't you reading more? When you know that reading brings you so much joy and pleasure. And the thing is, I don't want to listen to audiobooks before anyone suggests it. It does not bring me the same satisfaction as turning a physical page because I would rather listen to a podcast. And I know that like that's not maybe the best because like again, the podcasts I'm listening to are not necessarily educational. So like they're for pure entertainment purposes. So yes, unfortunately, I hadn't started a book apart from my textbooks this year, but this never stopped me from accumulating books. So I keep on buying books with the intent to read them as soon as possible, and then I just have 10 new books lying around that I haven't read a single page of. And I just end up rereading the same book, and the same book is oftentimes, and feel free to judge me, it is oftentimes The Fault in Our Stars, because I see that's the thing I really want to do this spring, because like if you have read The Fault in Our Stars, you know that like the two main protagonists go to Amsterdam in the spring and they're talking about how beautiful and like nice it is. So maybe I can have my Amsterdam moment from The Fault in Our Stars, but hopefully without their ending because I don't want to die, not yet, despite every single thing I've said so far. But yeah, because like I wanted to have such a moment last year and I went to Amsterdam and I was like, oh my god, I am going to have my Hazel Grace looking at the petals falling into the canal and making it a beautiful flower river, and then it poured rain like crazy. Like it was terrible. I just like took the train back home. um Anyways, so I was like very set on to read a book, and I went through the ones I had, and all of them were quite serious books. Like, for example, The Bell Jar, The Great Gatsby, like some Bulgarian books by Georgi Gospodinov, who is an author I highly recommend you look up. If you've never read anything he's written, oh my god, it is so thought provoking. Like his writing is phenomenal and so authentic and so full of everyday emotion that like emotions that we tend to overlook, emotions that we tend to do. Hello? Okay. Calm down. Ready to speak again? Okay. Emotions that we tend to overlook. So, all serious books. And I was like, I love those books. I want to read them. That's why I have them. But I want to read something rather plotless and just for funsies, not something necessarily challenging. Which is why I went to TK Maxx, which is the only place here where you can find books at a reasonable price, because for whatever reason, books here are so expensive. And this is one thing I really miss about the UK, and it is the fact that books there are so cheap. Literature is so attainable and affordable there. And I genuinely really miss buying 3 books for like £10. And I remember I went to this one charity shop and I got a Stephen Hawking book. I don't remember which one it was exactly because I bought it and then I didn't read it because I had like another book on my to read list, but and then someone asked me for, well, that someone being my sister asked me for that book, but it was like the anyway, so like I went to a charity shop and I got a Stephen Hawking book for £1. So this is what I mean by saying that books are affordable there. And they're like, those were the days. Like it was so amazing to like just go and it's like, oh, do I just get like a crunchy? Which like if you're in the UK, please try a crunchy. Like my friend, when she went there, she brought me some crunchy back and I've been saving it for such a like for like a special one because I love crunchy so much. And I just love like when I bite into it and I put my tongue against the honeycomb and just like suck on it, and it's like it just feels like a it's a pleasant sensory experience. Anyways, so like what did I want to say? So like basically there was this like charity shop here kind of like thing also, but for secondhand books. But they closed down and I'm really sad about it because like sure, they had a very limited section of English books, so it wasn't necessarily something that I could take too much advantage of, but still, it was like a really nice initiative. And I am the type of person who can spend an entire day in a library or a bookstore. Wherever I travel, I need to go into a bookstore. Like when I was solo traveling in Rome, I met this girl and she told me in every single country I go to, I need to eat McDonald's. And I was like, wait, I also kind of do this, but like not with food. I do it with books. In every single country, in every single city I go to, I need to go into a bookstore. I find them so fascinating. When I was I was like, oh my god, I think I want to work at a bookstore. Like you just get to sit around books the entire day, smell books the entire day, recommend books the entire day. And I think I was very much affected by Beauty and the Beast, because of like, oh my god, he built her a library. Like, hello? So yeah, I'm just so easily entertained. I just love looking at books so much, and the smell, oh my god, like I want to bottle it and drink it and use it as a perfume. Sure, sometimes it's small, but like I mean like, you know what? Like old books and new books, they have two very distinct smells. Oh my god, like amazing. Top three smells, books, uh the caramel cottage shower gel, like the brand Cottage, and gasoline. So I went to TK Maxx, and sure, like the range of books you can see there is not too wide, and you know that the books you're going to see are not necessarily Pulitzer worthy. I think Pulitzer is just for journalism. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. And I know this is like extremely disrespectful to every single author there, and I don't mean it as a disrespectful thing, I promise you. It's just like you're not going to find life-changing literature, is what I mean. Like you're going to find more book talk type of literature. At least like at my local TK Maxx. And it is just like very difficult to explain. If you have been to a TK Maxx, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't been to a TK Maxx, I honestly don't know what to compare it to, because TK Maxx is just comparable to TJ Maxx, depends on which country you're in. So anyways, I go there and I see a couple of books with those very book talk type of covers. Like you've definitely seen those. Like you definitely know which ones I'm talking about. Like it's those like cartoonish heterosexual couple on the cover who's most likely making out or like looking each other in the eyes extremely passionately, and it's like a cover with bold colors but rather plain design. And sure, like don't judge a book by its cover, which however is a thing I do every single time. And like I don't want to read a book I don't like the cover of. Also, if a book cover didn't matter, a cover designer wouldn't be a thing. Anyway, so just the cover fitting this genre, so to call it, is an indication that the story is not going to be Tolstoy worthy type of situation, but it's going to be like romance comedy-ish with like, which like I've mentioned many times, it is my rom-coms are my favorite genre of movies, and to a certain extent that is also applicable to books as well. But like if there's one genre of books I hate, it is self-help books. And if there are any people who here are like devoted self-help book readers, or maybe like some of you, I don't know who listens, like maybe some of you have written self-help books. I know that like maybe they're enjoyable to you, and like I'm not here to yuck your yum, but to me they're like kind of repulsive. And like they if someone tells me they read exclusively self-help books, it kind of gives me the ick. I like, because I don't want anyone telling me how to live my life. And sure, like it's suggestions and it's storytelling and whatever, but thank you, no thank you. Okay, so I decided to buy the two books, and I started like the two books I came across, and I decided to start first with this one that I am talking about right now. And now I honestly, knowing what I want to say to you, I kind of like don't feel comfortable telling the name of the author or the book. I can imagine that the author put a lot of effort into creating the book, and I personally would not want to hear my book being shredded to pieces by some random wannabe podcaster who just said 5 minutes ago that she doesn't read as much as she wants to. So I'm going to keep the name of the book and the author undisclosed, because I don't want to disrespect the effort that went into putting that book together. But like honestly, did any effort go into creating that story? Because the short answer is nah. Even though I am someone who has been reading spicy books, so to call them, since I was a child basically, I am so extremely disappointed in this one book. And the only reason I kept on reading is because I'm the type of person who, like, if I start a book, I need to finish it. And yes, like, you can dive deeper into the what this indicates when it comes to addiction and toxicity and commitment. I don't care. There's one book in my life that I have not finished, and it's this one book I was supposed to read in second grade during the summer vacation, and it's still haunting me to this day that I did not finish that book back then. Like, had I known that this is something I would never be able to let go of, I would have finished that book, no matter how much I hated it. But this book, like the one I am currently reading, it was too plotless, even for me. There was no character development. Like a romance like story, I want a slow burn. Like, even if it's enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, or like strangers to lovers, whatever, I want first character building. Bring back yearning. But this, I am not kidding you, 30 pages in and they were already physical. And I mean, like, physical. So the thing is, spicy books, sure, the spice can be interesting to read, but like, it's more about the relationship you build between the two characters. And like, for you to be able to build a relationship between two characters, you need to build two characters. So like, that was fully missing. And sure, it isn't Wattpad and it isn't 2014, but like, I expected more, especially considering how much the spicy book market has developed in the last decade, I would say. But the language that was used, and I read it in English, and like I've told you before, I hate reading in English because I always feel like dumb because I am used to academic literature and not like literature. So it was nasty. It was, but like, not sexy nasty. It was repulsive. Like, I legit wonder how can someone describe coitus to sound like Sheldon Cooper in such a way. It was straight up hideous. I was reading it to my friends and I couldn't keep a straight face. I just could not stop laughing because the way the author was detailing the spicy scenes was just outrageous. Like, this book honestly should have stayed a thought. Not even an email, not even a proposal. Should have stayed a thought. And like, making the character say things no person who has ever been physical with a person has said, it just straight up made me want to reconnect with nature and go into a church and apologize for wasting the time I have been given on this earth reading this. And here's the thing, I know it's extremely easy for me to judge as someone who has never written a book. Although, like, when I was 14, I was so determined to write a book. I wrote like 80 pages and then I gave up. So I know it's very easy for me to judge as someone who is not too experienced in the craft because I am more of a poetry writer rather than prose. But I feel like this is straight up offensive to literature and disrespectful to books. And I'm sorry to be such a hater. Actually, no, I love being a hater. But like, anyway, so I am sorry. I am sure the author is an extremely nice person, or at least I would hope so. I didn't even Google them. So it's just like, why? Just why? I know that maybe I'm just not the target audience, but still, like, why? Book Talk is just an interesting place, and I should stop trusting it because just because a book is popular doesn't mean it's good. But not all hope is lost because next week, I think, is when the new book from the Hunger Games is supposed to be released. And to say that I am excited would be an understatement. Guys, the Hunger Games and I, like, it's such a core part of who I am as a person. And I just love this series so much. Like, the books were absolutely amazing. And when I first read them, what's like a decade ago, I remember I was on vacation with my family to the seaside. and I was just reading. I wasn't like an active vacationer in the way I was supposed to, because I was just reading The Hunger Games. And if you've never read the books, I highly recommend them. They're so amazing. But what I'm trying to get at is that, like, they're this thick brick type of books, and they were like 400 pages each. And during that vacation, I would read a book a day. I would read a book a day because I was just so hooked. I would not let go. I think I might have mentioned it before actually, but like if I have, then oh well, you get to listen to it again. Um, when I was in the eighth grade, literally 2 weeks of being in like high school or whatever, or like a month, just like a short amount of time. Nobody knows anybody. You're still trying to establish some sort of an impression. You're still trying to find friends. I was accused of stealing books from the school library, which if I did, I wouldn't be here telling you. Like, no, I did not do it. But after my classmate and I went there to look for a text, because we were nerds and we participated in debate and speech competitions in English, and we were looking for text to play out during the speech prose part. So we were looking at the Hunger Games, and I was telling her how much I loved this book series. And then apparently, whoever lent one of the books didn't return it, which had escaped the stupid librarian's mind, and she came in front of the entire class accusing me of theft, and she had everyone take their stuff out from their backpacks in case I stole it and put it in someone else's bag to frame them. And nobody from the teachers would believe me that I didn't steal, and I just felt terrible because I may be many things, but I am not a thief. And then, like a month later, after the book was returned or whatever, the librarian found out that I didn't steal, but she never apologized to me. She apologized to my teacher. And I'm so against physical violence, but man, I wanted to punch her so fucking bad, because to this day, this is a story everyone remembers, and because of which sometimes people jokingly call me the book thief. So, me and the Hunger Games, we go way back, is what I'm trying to say. And the chokehold those movies had on me, don't get me started on Phoenix's death, because this one is one of the worst horror movies I have ever seen in my entire life, because he deserved so much better. What is it with authors who decide to give a side character a funny redemption arc just to kill them off once they become the audience favorite? What twisted mind is it that you have? So shout out to Suzanne Collins. I'm so excited to read what you have to say. And like, if you wrote a book for every single Hunger Game that took place, I would eat it up. And lastly here, I want to ramble on for a second over something that has been keeping me on my toes. So this week I have a presentation for university. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm quite anxious when it comes to public speaking, which I know this is so fucking ironic considering that I am here doing this and I'm posting this online for the world to listen and see, and it's always and forever there. But I am doing it by myself in the comfort of my own home, on my own terms. I can screw up as much as I need to, and I will be the only one witnessing my embarrassment. And trust me, there are times when editing me is judging me so hard because she's trying her best to figure out how to make it all make sense. But it's just so different because, sure, I blast my entire existence on the internet. And once something is online, it's there forever. But I do this voluntarily and with passion and with joy. Presentation giving, on which depends not only my academic outcome but the outcome of other people as well, is different. And things didn't always used to be like this. And it's super funny that when I was in high school, I was so extroverted and I was always everywhere all the time. I was extremely proactive, extremely loud, extremely engaged, extremely outspoken. And I think this is much owed to the sport I was practicing. So I was a competitive trampoline gymnast, and I had to go out in front of a crowd in the tiniest, most cut out bodysuit you can imagine. And I had to flip in the air. And it didn't matter that my cheeks were out after I finished my combination. I was never allowed to fix my bodysuit because I would get points deducted. And this was all televised and with photographers there, so like everyone could see. And there, like, not that there was something to be seen, but like, still, it is kind of oh my god, invasive. Thank you. So I had like a bigger thing to worry about, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, flashing the country on live television rather than speaking on something. Okay, side note, you know what really, like, looking back in hindsight, I can recognize it. It is the fact that gymnastics is still very much a sexist sport. I love the sport. It is extremely beautiful. It has given me a lot. It has taught me a lot. It, like, I would not change my experience, but now, having already been distanced from it for quite some time, I can take myself out of the mentality I was in for a decade practicing it, and I can see how it has affected me. And what I mean when I say sexist, it is in the sense that women have to compete in the tiniest, most cut out, most exposing, and uncomfortable bodysuit ever known to humanity, while men get to wear leggings or at least shorts, and they get their junk covered, while with us, one wrong move and it was fully out. And we were never allowed to wear shorts even when we were on our periods. And that is just so dehumanizing and infuriating, and it puts you in such an uncomfortable position, because not only do you have to flip while bleeding and cramping, but there's a high chance everyone finds out if your uniform moves even the slightest. And I feel like we can let this go, because the sport and the performance should be focused on the performance and the gymnast rather than their outfit. And I know this is supposed to be like a beautiful spectacle, and it very much is, but me wearing shorts would not diminish the importance of my labor and the spectacle I am putting on. And like, that's just a thought, because from the day I started, and I was 6 or 7, until my last competition, which was around when I was 17, I was fully exposed for everyone to see and judge. And not only I, my fellow teammates as well. And as you can imagine, especially during my teenage years, that was extremely heavy on me. And it's still something I carry within myself, because it's very much like it impacted the way I saw myself and still see myself. And I'm trying to unlearn the toxicity that came with it. And I don't regret it. I loved trampoline gymnastics. That was my passion at the time. But now I can very much recognize the misogyny in the sport and the sexism, and how much it has affected my self-perception and in particular my body image. And not to sound too optimistic, but I feel like this could be something that I will be struggling with perhaps in the back of my head forever, because it was present and prevalent in the period of my life in which I first started perceiving myself. So it is very difficult to eradicate this when it was the way you were taught to perceive yourself. But I am trying my best. And gymnastics definitely has contributed to this pressure I feel and I felt to conform to beauty standards, which I think are toxic, which I think are anti-women, especially like when it comes to body hair. But if I dive deeper into body hair, I will be here for a month and I will end up crying, like angry crying. In a nutshell, let's just say that when it came to body hair, people weren't necessarily nice to me. And I'm Balkan. I have body hair. You know what? Scratch that. I am human. I have body hair. And because of people making fun of me, I started epilating and waxing my legs and my arms when I was a child. And it's not because I wanted to, it's because I felt like I had to, and it would be the only thing that would stop the mean things coming my way. And unfortunately and fortunately, it did stop them. Unfortunately, because it perpetuated a perception in my mind of what I should do so that people aren't mean to me. And fortunately, because people stopped being mean to me in that aspect. Because now people were no longer calling me a man or a bear. They were telling me I have smooth skin. And this is so fucked up, especially when you're saying it to a child. And I just want to go back in time with the mentality I have now and tell everyone to fuck the fuck off and leave me and my body alone. Like, I kid you not, every single time I epilate, wax, shave, or do any form of body hair removal, I'm like, I want someone to calculate how many hours, like how many months of my entire life collectively I would spend on body hair removal. Months, like if not years. And that is just such a waste of time. And like, don't tell me to laser. That is not the issue. The issue is so much deeper, and it's honestly so unnecessary. And there are so many beauty standards which I wish were never created, but this one in particular pisses me off so much because it is so anti-women, anti-growing up, and anti-seeing us as human. I really, really hope that my generation, our generation, can move past those beauty standards and we can teach girls to accept themselves as humans rather than as objects. And even more, we can teach men to accept us as humans rather than objects, be it sexual, household, or whatever object. And it's very funny, but not funny, haha, but funny, sad. The fact that I'm so against this beauty standard that is being imposed on us that we should adhere to, otherwise, we have no value. And but at the same time, my internalized misogyny towards myself and internalized sexism towards myself are making it difficult for me to refrain from trying to conform. And it's a beauty standard I'm unfortunately struggling to eradicate from my perception of what I think I should look like. You know what? Like, I had so much to say about my social anxiety. So let's just quickly go over the social anxiety thing. Not that it's something that should just be said in passing, it's just that I'm running out of time for today's episode. So basically, social anxiety when public speaking. I didn't even know what this was before I came here. And then I came to university and I tasted social anxiety because of this thing I've told you before. I used to think nobody would like me by definition. So I thought everyone I met would think what I did was cringeworthy, everything I did was cringeworthy and mockable, and I just could not speak a word. I didn't raise my hand for a year and a half in class, even though I always had something to contribute to the conversation. And the very first time I had an anxiety attack, and I think I've mentioned this before again, but when I was came he- like when I was came here, wow, English grammar proper, wow. So in my very first class, in my very first year, I just remember in that class we were supposed to say our name, where we come from, and an interesting fact about us. And I really wish we stopped doing this because every single time someone tells me, "Oh, say a fun fact about you," I forget every single thing I have ever done in my entire life, and I forget who I am. And this is exactly what happened back then. So, like, I was the last one to go, meaning that I spent the entire everyone introducing themselves part thinking about what I am going to say about myself. And I could feel my heart in my throat. And in a class where everyone was full on going in detail how experienced they were with media and how they come from a bloodline of media scholars and media practitioners, I was like, "Hi, I'm Martina. I'm from Bulgaria and I like Harry Styles. And people were looking for something more. And my professor looked at me and was like, okay, yes, and I was like, that's it. So my self-identification as a Harry was the only shareable thing about me in that moment. And honestly, I used to think that that was embarrassing, but then I eradicated the concept of embarrassment from my mind. So now I just think it's kind of iconic, no? I really miss Harry, guys. I wish him all the best and I hope he's enjoying his life wherever he is and is enjoying his peace. But I just really need a new drop from him. Even if it's just like a single, like a teaser. Or someone please uncover some other unreleased songs because I need some new Harry Styles in my life. Like, I'm on such a pop music kick and I miss my pop king. So yeah, I told everyone that the only thing that mattered when it comes to me, the only interesting thing about me is the fact that I consume mainstream white girl music. And again, iconic. I've been trying to come to terms with my basic white bitchness because I was so obsessed with the idea of being different, but then I realized that what a privilege it is to be like other girls. But the very first time since university started in which I didn't have an anxiety attack while presenting was in this one class where during the presentation we had to put down the blinds and turn off the lights because it was too light of a room and you could not see the right whiteboard on which we were presenting. And me not being able to see people and people not being able to see me, like they see me but like they cannot perceive me, is what eased my mind. And this is when I realized that I don't need to perceive people. And my biggest advice for people who are in a position like mine is when I have to present, and by the way, I'm not anxious because I don't know my things. I practice in the shower, during walks, before I fall asleep, right after I wake up. I am well prepared. I don't memorize a script. I just learn the things because if it's a script based thingy, if something happens and I miss a word, my entire thing is like thrown off the rhythm and it all goes to hell. So my first advice is learn it. Like don't study it by heart, learn the thing you're going to present. And my second advice, my practical advice is that the one that never failed me. Wear a bucket hat, and if you wear glasses or contacts, don't wear them. Well, if it's safe, of course. My prescription isn't that high that I am a danger to myself or others if I don't wear my glasses. I just can't see faces too clearly, which deletes the faces of the people staring at me because they're just blurry lines. And the bucket hat, it covers a lot of my face, and I feel like it creates a barrier between me and the audience. It's like I make myself unperceivable in my mind, and I don't perceive them with any with my well, not with any, but like with my sight, so with my like one of my senses. And I just feel more at ease. And I know it sounds so silly, but for me personally it works, so maybe try it out. And my biggest problem with this presentation in particular is, however, that we are extremely limited when it comes to time. We have 10 minutes to present, do a questionnaire, and lead a discussion. And you know me, I can talk and talk and talk until there's no more talking that can be done. And after that, I can talk for 15 minutes more. The problem is not how I'm going to fill up those 10 minutes. The problem is how I'm going to keep my part within those 10 minutes. I come in here every single week worried that the hour I have allocated to create an episode is not going to be enough. Filling up time is never my problem. And I fear it may never be because I just never shut up. The thing I don't get is teachers require so much detail when you present a project, but they give you literally 13 seconds to go over a project that written down as 10 pages. And then same with essays. You want me to go in depth, explore all sides, argue every single statement, but you give me 30 words to analyze War and Peace. I don't get it and I never will, so just let me yap. With that being said, I will unfortunately have to dismiss today's yapping session. Thank you so much for listening to me go nuts over the most mundane stuff. I really appreciate it. And also, oh, check out my Instagram at Dirty Martini Pod, because on Monday, which is when Dirty Martini turns 1 year old, I have something prepared for you. But until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye!